The Galaxy Council chamber was filled with laughter that echoed across the grand hall. Dozens of alien species sat in their high seats, voices sharp and mocking. Humanity was once again the subject of ridicule. They called Earth backward, fragile, and weak. They spoke of Earth as a planet that would never rise beyond its small place in the stars. Yet hidden beneath their laughter, a quiet unease grew. Strange reports had spread across trade routes, reports that no one wanted to believe. Merchants swore they had seen a shadow moving behind Saturn's rings. Explorers whispered of signals that disrupted their ship's instruments when they passed near Earth's system. Even the most arrogant alien commanders admitted that their scanners sometimes returned results they could not explain. Still, the Council chose to laugh, dismissing these warnings as human tricks or errors in old machines. Far away from the laughter, Earth remained silent. For years, humanity had spoken little. They had avoided showing new weapons or technology at council meetings. Many believed Earth had given up competing. Others thought Earth was hiding in fear. What no one realized was that Earth's silence was not surrender. It was preparation. The shadow behind Saturn grew larger with every passing week. Mining drones vanished when they drifted too close. Patrol ships reported strange magnetic storms in space where no storms should exist. A trader described seeing the stars themselves bend as if something enormous passed between them. The galaxy ignored the signs, but whispers grew louder. Something was waiting. On Earth, leaders watched the skies, deep underground and high in secret orbital docks. A project older than most living generations waited. Humanity had poured its resources, its intelligence, and its will into one creation. Nations that once fought wars had united for it. For decades, they had kept it hidden, while the galaxy mocked them as weak. The time of hiding was ending. When the first distortion appeared near Saturn, an alien scout ship rushed to investigate. Its captain, proud and arrogant, transmitted to the Council that he would expose the human trick. His signal cut off seconds later. His ship was never seen again. The last fragment of his voice carried through the void. It is not a station. It is something else. Panic touched the edges of the Council's laughter. They demanded answers. Fleets of small cruisers were sent toward the shadows, each one determined to prove humanity had nothing. None returned. Their last transmissions showed only static and the faint shape of something far too large to understand. Then came the silence. Not the silence of empty space, but the heavy, suffocating silence that falls before something impossible. The galaxy's communication channels went quiet. News ceased to spread. Even the most fearless warlords waited. Everyone sensed that something was about to emerge, something that would end the laughter forever. On the fourth day, the rings of Saturn glowed with strange light. A dark outline began to rise from the shadow. It moved slowly, but its size was monstrous. At first it looked like a mountain breaking free from the planet's edge. Then it grew clearer, sharper, more defined. It was no natural body. It was built. It was engineered. Aliens across the galaxy stared at their screens. Some refused to believe what they saw. Others fell into stunned silence. The structure stretched across space like a floating city. Yet it moved with the steady precision of a single machine. The hull gleamed with metal no one recognized. Waves of energy rolled off its sides, disrupting every scanner that tried to measure it. The first clear image appeared across the council chamber. A single line of text burned on the screen beneath the massive silhouette. Earth Supercarrier Leviathan. The chamber that once shook with laughter now froze in fear. The aliens who mocked humanity looked at one another in disbelief. How could Earth, a planet they called backward, build something of this scale? How could they keep it hidden for so long? And what purpose did it serve? The ship continued to rise, its engines silent, its weapons unknown. No alien ship dared approach now. They hung in space like insects watching a storm form above them. The supercarrier drifted slowly as if awakening after a long sleep. Whispers began to spread across the galaxy. If Earth hid this, what else do they have? Entire fleets hesitated to move, fearful that even one mistake would invite destruction. Admirals who once demanded Earth's surrender now remained silent, their orders trapped behind the weight of uncertainty. The humans still said nothing. No broadcasts, no threats, no explanations. Only the silent reveal of a creation that defied every law of possibility. The Galaxy Council, once arrogant and mocking, now sat in silence, watching the massive shadow of Earth's secret rise into the stars. What was hidden in darkness had finally stepped into the light, and for the first time in living memory, the galaxy was afraid of Earth, The galaxy did not take long to react. The moment Earth's supercarrier appeared, panic spread across every star system. News channels broadcast the image again and again. A ship the size of a continent wrapped in black steel and silent power. Alien leaders tried to calm their people, but fear was already alive. It grew like fire across dry fields, impossible to stop. In the council chamber, the arguments began. Some voices shouted that humanity was bluffing, that the ship was only a hollow structure made to scare them. Others demanded immediate action, to destroy it before it could move. Yet no one wanted to be the first to strike. The shadow of the supercarrier was too heavy, its presence too unnatural. To prove their strength, a nearby alien fleet volunteered. They were from a warlike race known for their cruelty, a species that had conquered countless colonies. Their commander laughed as he gave the order. Hundreds of cruisers moved together, forming lines of attack. Their weapons glowed with power, ready to fire upon Earth's secret. The galaxy held its breath. At first, the supercarrier did nothing. It remained motionless, floating like a giant mountain in space. The alien fleet grew bold, moving closer, taunting the humans with open broadcasts. They promised to shatter the carrier, to scatter its pieces across Saturn's rings. Their arrogance filled the stars. Then it happened. Without warning, the fleet's systems began to fail. Cruisers reported sudden blackouts in their controls. Engines stuttered, weapons shut down, and scanners filled with nothing but static. Pilots screamed into their channels demanding answers. The closer they flew, the more their ships collapsed. Within minutes, a third of the fleet was drifting powerless. Those still moving tried to turn back, but it was too late. A pulse of invisible energy rippled from the supercarrier's hull. No explosion, no visible light, only silence. One by one, alien cruisers shut down completely, their lights flickering out like candles in a storm. Across the galaxy, millions watched in horror. Entire fleets had been neutralized without a single shot fired. No lasers, no missiles, no destruction. Just silence and failure. Ships that once filled the skies now floated like broken toys, helpless against something beyond their understanding. The alien commander's voice, once mocking, was now trembling. We cannot fight this, he whispered before his transmission cut. His fleet was gone, the council chamber erupted. Panic replaced arrogance. Leaders demanded to know what weapon Earth had built. Some said it was impossible, that no ship could cause such disruption. Others whispered a darker fear, that humanity had unlocked knowledge no one else dared to touch. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people watched too. They had lived under the shadow of alien mockery for years. They had been called weak, small, insignificant. Now, as the image of the drifting alien fleet spread across their screens, pride burned in their hearts. For the first time, humanity did not feel like prey. But fear was not limited to aliens. Even on Earth, many wondered what their own leaders had created. The supercarrier was a symbol of power, but it was also a monster of silence. Ordinary humans whispered about what it could do, what else it might be hiding. If it could crush alien fleets without firing, what could it do to planets? To entire systems? The galaxy's fear deepened as more strange events followed. Communications near Saturn broke apart. Civilian ships that passed close vanished without trace. No debris, no signals, only emptiness. Rumors spread of strange lights within the rings, shadows moving that were not asteroids. Some said the supercarrier was alive. Others claimed it was not human at all, but something humanity had found and rebuilt. Still, the humans said nothing. No explanations, no threats, no promises. The supercarrier floated like a predator in deep water, watching silently as fear spread. Alien warlords began to retreat their fleets from Earth's borders. Entire trade routes shifted overnight. The once loud laughter of the galaxy was gone, replaced by whispers and silence. In the council chamber, one voice finally spoke above the chaos. An old alien strategist, scarred from countless battles, leaned forward. His words carried weight. "This is not just a ship," he said. "This is a message. Humanity has shown us one piece of their hand. We must ask ourselves, if they hid this, what else have they hidden?" The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to answer. For the first time in history, the galaxy trembled at the thought of Earth, and for the first time, humanity stood in the center of fear, cloaked in silence, holding secrets no one else could imagine. The tremor had begun. The galaxy had never known silence like this. Entire empires that once shouted across the stars were now quiet. The image of Earth's supercarrier drifted endlessly on every broadcast, a shadow larger than any fleet, its surface unreadable, its purpose unknown. Fear alone was powerful, but the waiting was worse. Humanity spoke no words. Their ship moved with the slow patience of a predator, and that silence shook the galaxy more than weapons ever could. But on the seventh day, the silence ended. A signal spread across the stars, clear, steady, undeniable. Every receiver in every system caught it. Every council chamber, every warlord's throne, every civilian's small radio buzzed with the same transmission. It was not written in alien tongue nor encrypted in strange code. It was a voice, a human voice, speaking in simple tones that carried more weight than any fleet. "We asked for peace," the voice said. "You answered with scorn. We asked for respect. You answered with chains. We asked for time. You answered with war. You left us no choice. You forced us to answer." The words rippled through the stars. Some alien leaders tried to laugh, but their laughter was hollow. They could not erase the sight of crippled fleets floating powerless near Saturn. They could not deny the image of the supercarrier rising from the rings like a beast of steel and shadow. The message continued. "This is Leviathan. It was not built to conquer. It was built to remind. Humanity stands. Humanity endures. Humanity answers." Then, with the slow hum of power, the supercarrier's hull opened. Massive bays split apart like the jaws of some ancient monster, and smaller ships poured into space. They were not simple fighters or scouts. Each vessel shimmered with strange energy, designs alien in their sharpness yet undeniably human in their structure. Entire squadrons formed in perfect silence, moving with mechanical precision that made alien admirals whisper in disbelief. For centuries, the galaxy had believed Earth was small, late to the stars, weak compared to empires that spanned thousands of systems. Now, as the Leviathan revealed its children, that belief shattered. Every small ship was armed with weapons no one could name. Engines that twisted light itself, shields that bent incoming scans away. They were not ships built in competition. They were ships built in secret, away from prying eyes, with technology the galaxy had never touched. Whispers spread again. How long had humanity hidden this? Decades, centuries. What other secrets waited under their oceans, inside their mountains, within the deep black of their space? The broadcast did not end with threats. It ended with a warning. "We do not seek war, but we will no longer kneel. The next hand raised against Earth will not return." The council chamber sat frozen. Not one dared to answer. For generations they had forced Earth into silence, forcing them to accept humiliation in trade, in diplomacy, in war. Now the roles had reversed. The galaxy itself was silent, and Earth's voice carried across every world. Far from the council, ordinary people listened in fear. Miners on asteroid belts shut off their equipment and stared at the stars. Farmers on alien planes paused in their work, glancing upward as if expecting the shadow to appear above them. Children who had been taught that humans were weak now asked their parents why they had been lied to. The fear grew heavier when the Leviathan moved again. Slowly the ship began to turn. Its engines glowed faintly, warping gravity, bending light, creating ripples that stretched across space. Fleets scrambled to retreat farther away. They no longer wanted to be near. Every alien commander who had once bragged of breaking humanity now hid behind excuses. None wanted to be the first to test the warning. On Earth, leaders stood behind locked doors. Even they knew the supercarrier was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol, a promise, and a threat. Yet there were whispers among humans themselves. If Leviathan had been revealed only now, what other secrets did Earth hide? Some feared their own leaders almost as much as the galaxy feared them. But one truth was clear. Humanity had spoken. They had spoken with steel, with silence, with power, and the galaxy had listened. That night, across the stars, no empire slept. The laughter that once mocked Earth had died. In its place, fear ruled. Humanity had given their message, and it could not be forgotten. The tremor was no longer small. It was spreading, shaking the foundations of every empire. The galaxy knew what came next was no longer in their control. For the first time, they were forced to wonder if humanity's silence had only been the beginning. The galaxy could not remain silent forever. Fear was heavy, but pride still lived in the hearts of empires that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. The council argued for days, their voices bitter with shame. To do nothing was to admit weakness. To strike was to risk destruction. Yet arrogance won, as it always did. They convinced themselves that humanity's supercarrier was powerful but not invincible. A coalition formed. Dozens of empires that once despised each other now united against one common threat. Their fleet stretched across the stars, thousands of ships gathering in ranks of fire and steel. Never in history had such a force been assembled. They believed sheer numbers could crush Earth's secret, that Leviathan would fall under the weight of combined power. From hidden docks and fortified worlds, fleets launched. Cruisers, dreadnoughts, carriers, warships of every design filled the dark. Their weapons glowed with energy that could crack moons. Their shields could block entire bombardments. They had fought each other for centuries, but now they flew as one. Their commanders spoke with pride, promising their people that humanity's shadow would be broken, that Leviathan would burn. The galaxy watched. Entire civilizations tuned their transmissions to witness the battle. Some prayed, some cheered, and some trembled. Leviathan waited. When the coalition fleets arrived near Saturn, the black ship was already there, silent, unshaken, unmoved. The alien commanders gave the order, and thousands of ships lit the void. Lasers brighter than suns cut through the dark. Missiles screamed across the stars. Waves of plasma and energy storms fell upon the Leviathan. The galaxy held its breath. The storm of destruction struck. For a moment, space itself seemed to collapse under the weight of the attack. Explosions rippled across the rings. Light swallowed shadows, and shockwaves bent the very void. Alien fleets roared in victory before the smoke cleared. Then they saw. Leviathan stood untouched. Its hull shimmered faintly as if the attacks had never been real. The storm of destruction faded into silence, leaving only the black shape drifting unbroken. Not one scar marked its surface. Not one system failed. The coalition faltered. Then panic spread. Leviathan moved, slowly at first like a titan awakening. Its engines glowed brighter, warping gravity, tearing rifts of light. Then with sudden speed it charged. Alien formations broke as the ship cut through them like a knife through paper. Fleets scrambled, firing desperately, but nothing struck true. Weapons bent away. Energy dissolved before touching its surface. Then Leviathan answered. Its weapons were not like theirs. They were not lasers or missiles. They were storms of light that bent space itself. Waves of soundless force that ripped ships apart without fire. A single pulse shattered entire squadrons. Cruisers crumbled like dust. Dreadnoughts that had fought for centuries vanished in flashes of silence. Alien admirals screamed into their channels trying to regroup, but Leviathan moved too fast. The smaller ships it had released earlier darted through enemy lines, each one striking with precision. They cut engines, disabled shields, dismantled fleets piece by piece. It was not war. It was dissection. Across the stars, civilians watching the battle whispered the same words. This is not a fight. This is extinction. And yet, even in destruction, Leviathan showed restraint. Many ships were crippled, not destroyed. Their weapons gone, their engines frozen, left drifting helpless in space. Humanity had the power to annihilate, but instead they demonstrated control. That choice made the galaxy fear them even more. For what kind of power refuses to kill? What kind of species can end fleets in silence and still hold back? The battle lasted only hours. When it ended, the once great coalition was nothing but debris and drifting ships. Out of thousands, only fragments remained. Entire empires had lost their pride, their strength, and their courage. In the council chamber, no one spoke. Screens still showed the image of Leviathan hovering in the wreckage, its black hull gleaming with cold light. A single human transmission followed, calm and steady. Enough. No threats, no boasts, only one word. It was more terrifying than any declaration of war. From that day, the galaxy understood a truth they could not escape. Humanity had crossed a line no other species dared to touch. They had built something no empire could equal, and they had used it not for conquest but for survival, for warning. But the galaxy knew warnings never ended with one battle. They whispered in fear of what might come next. If this was Leviathan, what else was hidden on Earth? What greater shadows waited to rise? The clash of powers was over, and in the ruins only one truth remained. Humanity did not ask for fear, but now the galaxy would never forget it. When the smoke of battle faded, the galaxy changed forever. Wreckage from the coalition drifted through the void, broken ships glowing faintly as they tumbled in silence. Saturn's rings were littered with the remains of fleets that once boasted of their power. Entire empires had united, but their unity had collapsed in a single day. Against Leviathan, numbers meant nothing. Across the stars, billions watched the aftermath. Families huddled in silence, governments hid behind shuttered chambers, and soldiers who once mocked humanity now sat trembling in disbelief. The black supercarrier had not only survived, it had dominated. And yet what frightened the galaxy most was not the destruction, but the restraint. Leviathan could have erased those fleets, reducing them to nothing but dust and fire. Instead, humanity had left many crippled, floating, powerless, but alive. It was a demonstration of control, of power chained rather than unleashed. The galaxy understood this truth. Earth had not shown its full strength. If this was mercy, then what would their wrath look like? Messages poured across council networks. Some demanded surrender to humanity. Others begged for negotiations. A few still clung to arrogance, calling for another attack, but no empire moved. Fear sat too heavy in their hearts. They had seen what happened when pride met Leviathan. Within the council chamber, silence ruled. The same leaders who once laughed at Earth now avoided even speaking the word human. They whispered in corners, fearful that the humans were listening even there. The black ship still hovering near Saturn was not only a weapon, it was a reminder. It reminded them that the galaxy was no longer theirs to control. But the terror went beyond politics. On faraway worlds, children asked their parents if the humans would come for them. Miners in distant belts refused to work near sectors rumored to hide more human creations. Traders redirected routes away from Earth's system, unwilling to risk crossing the shadow of Leviathan. Fear spread like a second sun, shining into every corner of the galaxy. On Earth, people stood on rooftops, mountains, and city streets, staring at the night sky. They knew the galaxy watched them now. For years, they had lived under ridicule, dismissed as weak. Now pride and unease mixed in their hearts. The Leviathan had made them untouchable, but it had also made them something more, something alien empires would never forgive. Humanity was no longer the youngest child of the stars. They were the power no one had expected. Inside the Leviathan, crew members moved through silent halls of black steel. Generations had worked for this moment, hidden in secrecy. Their lives devoted to building a ship that was more than a machine. It was their shield, their answer to centuries of humiliation. And now it was awake, standing guard over the planet that had birthed it. Still, unease spread even among the humans. Some asked their leaders if Leviathan was enough. Others whispered that it was only the beginning. If Earth could hide one ship for so long, what else had been hidden in the shadows of oceans, mountains, or deep space? Rumors spoke of projects older than Leviathan, creations buried even deeper, waiting for the right moment. No one confirmed or denied them. Silence was humanity's greatest weapon. The galaxy could not fight silence. In hidden corners of the universe, empires plotted in fear. They wondered if they could spy, steal, or rebuild what humanity had created. But deep inside, every leader knew the truth. Even if they tried, even if they spent centuries, they would never catch up. Humanity had already stepped beyond them, and the gap would only grow. The fear spread not because of what Leviathan had done, but because of what it had not done. Humanity had revealed only a piece of their strength, and that single piece had brought the galaxy to its knees. At last, another message spread, brief and final. The same human voice as before, calm and steady. We asked for peace. Do not mistake our silence again. The transmission ended. No more words came. Leviathan remained above Saturn, watching, unmoving, like a shadow carved into the void. Its presence was enough. The galaxy knew better than to test it again. From that day, every empire carried the same memory, the moment the galaxy stopped in fear. Humanity, once mocked, once ignored, now stood as the silent power no one dared to challenge. Their secret supercarrier had risen from the shadows, and in its rise, it had rewritten the balance of the universe. In time, civilizations would rebuild, leaders would whisper of revenge, and pride would try to return. But the shadow of Leviathan would never leave them. It would haunt their skies, their dreams, and their fears. The galaxy thought Earth was small. They never saw what Earth had hidden in the dark, and they feared what still remained unseen.